Frid och shalom älskade vänner. Välkommen till en profetisk uppdatering idag. Jag predikar i söndags om varför Gud ställer frågor. Och det gör han ju i psalm 2. Varför larmar hedningarna? Ja, många ser kampen, kaoset, orättfärdigheterna på jorden och är mycket frustrerade, men förstår ändå inte att överallt samman så finns det ett svar att ge. Och det uppenbarar Bibeln som är sanningens bok. Där kan vi se att allting laddas upp till en tidsperiod i slutet som kallas för Herrens dag. Det är en dag och en tid då Gud griper in i händelserna här på jorden. Och Herren har sagt att det här kommer att likna det som skedde i domen över Egypten. Han lät farao uppstå för att uppenbara sin makt över hela jorden. Det är precis vad som kommer att ske igen med denna antikrist och de här 10 kungarna. På samma sätt kommer vi att se en maktstruktur börja resa sig upp över världen innan Herren kommer. Och nu ser vi början på denna maktstruktur. Satan har fått i uppdrag av Gud att anordna hans ord så att alla profetier går i uppfyllelserna. Då ser vi alltså denna tidsålders Gud eller djävulen eller Satan eller ormen sätta upp ett rike där han ska vara huvud över dem. De visa och ledarna, det vill säga globalisterna som vill flytta alla gränserna, det är kungarna som konspirerar med varandra mot Herren och hans mode. Och de som är längst ner, det är de som inte fattar så mycket utan de används bara, det slavarna kallas de här. Det är nyttiga idioterna säger man faktiskt om de här. Det är de som får lön. Och de förstår inte mycket vad som sker. När vi nu kommer fram till den här tidpunkten för Herrens dag så har alltså de visa ledarna, det vill säga kungarna och de här globalisterna, de har konspirerat med varandra. Och man göder sig själv på dessa slavars bekostnad, står det. Och Bibeln är solklar med att det är Satan som har inspirerat dem. Så när Herrens dag kommer så ska alltså världens ledare, globalisterna, alla affärsmän och alla de här vara upptagna med att äta, dricka och bygga. Det är ju alltså en bild på att de kommer att leva i överflöd och lyx. Nu går vi till Jakobs brev 5:1 och läser: Lyssna ni som är rika, gråt och klaga över de olyckor som ska komma över er. Er rikedom ska förmultna, era kläder skall förtöras av mal, ert guld och silver ska ärga, och ärgen ska vittna mot er och förtära ert kött som eld. Ni har samlat skatter i dessa sista dagar. Här ser vi den tidpunkten. Se den lön som ni har undanhållit arbetarna som skördade era åkrar. Den ropar och skördarbetarnas rop har nått Herren Sebaots öron. Ser ni att det är precis som han ropade i Egypten, så kommer det alltså att bli. Ni har levt i lyx och överflöd på jorden. Ni har gött er på slaktedagen, alltså Herrens dag. Ni har dömt den rättfärdige och dödat honom, och han gjorde inget motstånd mot er. Nej, det kan vi till exempel se i de här demonstrationerna, till exempel då när man vill döda, man skriker om att döda. Och vi måste kunna förstå ändens tid. Och då säger i Efesierbrevet 1 att Gud har en plan. Och det är att sätta Jesus Kristus som huvud över alla änglar som inte föll, och sedan skaffat ett frälst folk, ett lydigt folk av både judar och hedningar på jorden som är i Guds rike av alla folk och stammar. Så läser vi lite om Babylon här, ska vi se. Uppenbarelseboken 18:2. Och han ropade med stark röst och sa: Fallet, fallet är det stora Babylon. eller det sista Babylon där då. Det har blivit en boning för onda andar. Alla onda andar, står det till och med sen. Alla orena andar. Ett hus och ett näste för alla orena och avskyvärda fåglar. Ty av hennes otukts vredesvin har alla folk druckit. Lägg märke till här att jordens kungar har alltså slutit ett förbund med dödsriket. Det är där det handlar om. Skökan här är alltså djävulen. Och han sluter förbund. Dödsriket sluter förbund med jordens köpmän som har blivit rika på hennes omåttliga lust, står det här. Det är alltså en andlig sak som händer över jorden. Vi ser hur kungarna sätter sig över de små, till exempel. Den stora skökan är alltså en bild på Satans pyramid. Och den kommer tydligen att fyllas med alla änglar som gjort sig ett med honom i himlen. Och det folk som gör sig ett med honom på jorden. Här har vi Babylon med andra ord. Det handlar ju inte om klimatförändringarna eller den pro-palestinska saken, även om det faktiskt hör ihop. Det ska vi förklara för er varför de gör det. Greta Thunberg är ju i centrum väldigt mycket nu i allt som händer, och hon är ju väldigt konstig. Hon har ju gått ifrån klimatförändringarna till den pro-palestinska Hamas-gruppen. Och nu ska vi visa er att det är samma ande bakom. Det är både naturligt för en person som upplevt och gjort en upplevelse i New Age. Vi vet att hennes föräldrar är i New Age, så det är ju mycket troligt att hon har gjort samma upplevelser. Och i de här upplevelserna får du ju uppleva att allt är ett. Alltså demoniska energier som strömmar ner, och man upplever att växter, djur och människor har lika värde. Man får liksom se energier strömma genom universum och genom träd och genom människor och djur. Och samma andemakt leder till allting som hotar dessa demoners mål. Med andra ord, som har gett dem upplevelsen. För de vill ju ta över hela jorden. Men då finns det ju ett hinder då för dessa demoner. De troende och landet Israel och det judiska folket är antikrists eller dessa demoners fiender. Och det är ju intressant att läsa New Age-böckerna och deras författare som vittnar om att precis så här är det. Jag håller på att studera det här fenomenet som drar över jorden av galenskap som vi inte förstår, om vi inte förstår att detta är andligt. Och ska vi komma ur fågelfängarens snara så måste vi se över denna Babylons pyramid. Gud kommer att sända fruktansvärda domar, det ser du i Bibeln. Och vet du då vad dessa kommer att tro? Jo, de kommer att tro de globalistiska vetenskapsmännen vad de säger, precis som i Egypten. De kommer att bli fångade i deras egen visdom, säger Bibeln, som har demonisk källa enligt Jakobs brev. När jag studerade och hörde videos och läste böcker om hur Tyskland blommade fram på 30-talet till att bli den fruktansvärda makt som nazisterna hade, så ser vi en likhet på global skala genom användandet av magiska droger och teknik. Det var mycket droger och hjärntvätt och ockultism som formade om Tyskland till demonernas paradis. Hitler sa själv att han hade fått information att han var den utvalde som skulle leda in tyskarna i vad han kallade för 1000-årsriket. En bild på antikrist med andra ord. Idag kan vi se liknande saker som står bakom den fruktansvärda Wokeism-rörelsen till exempel, och denna råa vrede som många drabbas av idag. Att man vill döda alla som står i vägen. Vilket hat, och det säger ju Bibeln att det ska vara kännetecknet. Man ska hata varandra. Man ropar död åt sionismen, och det är samma sak som att kasta bort judarna och deras land. Men inte nog med det. De kristna troende som förstår att frälsningen kommer från judarna är ju också demonernas fienden, eller hur? Media och drogkultur tillsammans med den nya andligheten har skapat ett globalt religiöst skifte i världen, och det vet vi måste komma, det säger det profetiska ordet. Och det har skapat den dödsspiralen som du kan läsa om i Romarbrevet 1, där man tillber det skapade före skaparen. Då kommer mörkret eller villfarelsen över människans hjärta. Och när man gör dessa upplevelser genom andlighet och droger, som är det enklaste sättet att nå den här andligheten, det är därför det flödar över av diverse droger idag. Det ger dig alltså ett förmörkat sinne, så i dessa upplevelser så blir blommor, träd och djur samma värde som en människa, menar man. Det finns till och med rörelser idag som arbetar att ge naturen samma rättighet lagligt sett som en människa har. Hur sjukt är inte detta? Någonting har skett som har tagit bort skyddet och prisgett människan, så hon inte längre kan se skillnad på naturen, skapelsen och människan och Gud. Och Gud, han står ju långt över den här skapelsen som han själv har skapat, och det var ju det vi läste i början här. Bibeln är ju solklar att det finns en skillnad mellan Gud och hans skapelse, och han finns som en del av skapelsen, men han står långt över. Han är inte en sten och i en sten. Men den ockulta upplevelsen ger alltså ett panteistiskt tankesätt. Då sjunker vårt värde ner till djurens värde. Djurens värde och träden upphöjs till vårt värde, alltså vår härlighet. Så att vi kan se det ockulta tankesättet New Age blir alltså en fiende till Bibelns budskap som judar och kristna står för. Så det är ju helt naturligt att klimat-Greta blir pro-palestinska Greta, eller hur? Det är ju fullt naturligt. New Age-folkets ledare skriver ju i sina böcker om hur meningslöst Jesu död på korset var. Vilket starkt hat till försoningen, eller hur? Varför det? Jo, för att evangeliets centrum har du i korset och blodet och i försoningen. Och till slut ska det judiska folket ta emot honom. Genom det han har gjort på Golgata, genom försoningen, ska deras synder förlåtas, står det. Och då vet vi att Satans tid är ute. Vi läser i Romarbrevet 11:26 till exempel. Och det är så hela Israel ska bli frälst, som det står skrivet. Från Sion ska frälsaren komma och skaffa bort all ogudaktighet från Jakob. Och detta ska vara mitt förbund med dem när jag tar bort deras synder. Då vet vi att Hebreerbrevet säger att det finns ingen förlåtelse utan att blod utgjuts. Och det gjorde du ju på Golgata kors. Så därför är också många fiendeskap till korset i New Age. Och det är tidstecken. Vi ska få se ett starkt fiendeskap mot korset. Vi ska se ett starkt fiendeskap mot landet Israel, och vi ska se ett starkt fiendeskap mot det judiska folket, precis som Herren sa. Se på fikonträdet och se på alla andra folk, alltså alla andra träd. Där står ju de som hedningar som är fiender till Israel, och det framgår ju ganska klart i texten där när Jesus talar i Matteus 24 om nation mot nation, etnos mot etnos. Och det vi kan se i Los Angeles till exempel nu och alla andra av de här upprorsstäderna är ju ett uppror mot Gud och inget annat. Nu tar vi och tittar på lite klipp här till slut. Gud välsigna er. Amen.
Once again, well, let's start here with the riots that are going on in Los Angeles. Check out this short video for you guys. What do we see going on here? There it says, for 48 hours straight, rioters are torching cars and attacking agents, including pelting DHS vehicles. Many of you have already seen that. I've seen that. Then this commentator puts, this looks like a failed state. And again, you look at Los Angeles and you think to yourself, George Soros wants to turn Texas blue. I'm telling you guys, in Texas, you better not allow this. You have a governor there that put up and has so far stopped as he's put the pressure against what building this Islamic community in Dallas. Huge, over 400 acres, if I remember correctly. Sharia law coming to Texas, that's what they want. You know darn well that's what George Soros wants too. Put all the money in there that you possibly can. I remember reporting on George Soros back in 2017 when I was doing breaking news on his channel. And at that time, George Soros swore to pour $5 billion against the U.S. and to turn the U.S. just into a hell zone if he could. And at first you didn't see really anything going on. Then you started finding out, guess what? Funding all kinds of different people into positions of power throughout the United States, along with the mainstream media, buying them, bribing them, doing whatever is possible. So as George Soros says, this is what I'm going to do. Listen, he's old and he's evil. And if he dies, his son is even worse than him. So if Texas, you better be aware, because he will do everything he possibly can to turn your state blue and turn it into the hell zone that Los Angeles has become. And by the way, as we look at Los Angeles and just think of some of the things, what do we have? We have Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, the same one who wanted to get rid of good firefighters within the city of Los Angeles. So what did she do? She had her own woke hiring policies implemented. So only hire people if they're woke or whatever it is. We don't care if they can really fight fires, and make sure that we drain reservoirs and there's no water in the fire hydrants. That's the same Karen Bass who says it's not my fault that she went on vacation and LA burned. I think that was back in January of this year. And then it's the same mayor presiding over this right now in Los Angeles, saying, nothing to see here, folks. Don't look over this way, folks. Nothing to see here. And then, of course, Gavin Newsom jumping in. What an interesting person Gavin is. Same governor, by the way, as he looks to be president, wants to be president. It's going to be a race between him and AOC. But just keep this in mind. This is the same governor who oversaw California when Los Angeles was on fire. And same governor overseeing California that doesn't want the National Guard here in Los Angeles. Well, let's see what's going on here. Also, Trump, when he called up the National Guard, he used a law that is rarely used. In fact, the last time the law was used with using the National Guard and bringing them in without the governor saying, requesting, hey, we want you to bring the National Guard in, was in 1965 at the time of Lyndon Johnson regarding civil rights protests. So he brought in, he overrode the state, he brought in the National Guard. That's the last time it was used. So this time, Trump says we're bringing in the troops, 2,000 National Guards coming into Los Angeles, and they are there right now. And Newsom is saying, hey, you can't do that here. Listen, remember, it was federal troops, federal border agents that were being attacked, ICE agents. These are federal employees that are being attacked within the state of California. State of California isn't protecting them. So what do you expect? These are federal troops. What would happen? Listen, I'm not the world's biggest fan of Trump, as you guys know, but what would happen if you have federal troops coming into Los Angeles, as we all saw over the last few days, and the federal government, the Trump administration, didn't do anything, didn't respond? You just let your agents get beaten up, threatened to be killed, all of the different stuff that you guys saw was going on. And the governor of California isn't going to protect them, not going to send in the highway patrol. LAPD chief himself says, hey, we're not going to do anything. In fact, we aren't even going to take IDs, even though we know that you guys shouldn't even be here. That was LAPD. We know that you're here illegally, but we're just going to look the other way. So you have federal troops that are being pelted and being threatened with their life. Yeah, the federal government needs to step in with the National Guard. And Governor Newsom says, hey, guess what? We're going to file a lawsuit against the Trump administration. I mean, the governor here in California is an absolute clown. And you look at this and you go, he's going to be racing for president between him and AOC. We are in trouble. All the way around, folks, America is in a whole lot of trouble. Better wake up. And again, the warning going back to Texas again. George Soros wants to fund everything in Texas so Texas will flip and turn blue and be like the state of California. If you are in Texas, you better get involved right now and not allow anything like that happen. You can't have Sharia law going in there or none of that nonsense. But you look at these different things that are taking place. Friends, unbelievable. Better wake up to the reality of what is really going on. Next article, LA immigration protests live. Newsom confirms California will sue White House as tensions boil over. I already mentioned that that is happening, that Newsom says this is what we're going to do. Again, the same guy that wouldn't do anything about the fires as LA was burning, the other fires. I look at this and think, man, what is it? I think this is, since I've been alive, I think this is the 4th or 5th time that LA has had their riots. Unbelievable. Maybe 6th time, maybe 10th time. Unbelievable. But check this, writing on X, one user said, sadly, LA looks like a scene from the 2024 Civil War movie, while another user asked, is the U.S. now in de facto civil war, or is that not yet what they call it? As you look at this, are we in a civil war? I want to comment on this real quick. We are not in a civil war here in the United States or even in California yet. But as I look at this, and we have some serious civil disobedience going on, riots going on, I think that would be the correct way of saying it. And they're actually violent. I actually watched somebody just yesterday commenting, I can't remember which of the mainstream media outlets it was, saying this is mostly a peaceful protest, while people are threatening her that are standing right behind her. I mean, these people are something else. So you look at this, are we in a civil war? We're not in a civil war yet. But as we can see everything going this direction, folks, we need to pay attention to what in the world is really going on. Bad stuff is happening. Nevertheless, moving on from here, the Wall Street Journal reports group backed by George Soros to plow millions into turning Texas blue. I already commented on that. But look at this initiative, and this is the warning to y'all in Texas. Initiative will attempt to bolster Democrats' hope of making Texas competitive after failing to win any statewide races since 1994. Again, I'm going to say let this be a warning to y'all in Texas again. Listen, I was born in 1959 in Los Angeles, California. My family moved out of Los Angeles, praise God. I know some of you right now are in Los Angeles to watch this. You guys get it tough there. But as you look at this, California used to be red. That was quite some time ago. And it's turned blue, and it's not pretty. Again, I just want to warn y'all who are in Texas, do not let this happen in Texas. Because what's happening here in California, it will be in Texas if they have their way. Ruth Shiva News reports Hamas threatens Gazan aid workers. Terrorists have begun threatening the workers distributing American supplies, as well as warning Gazans that the American aid centers have become death traps. Hamas and other terrorist groups have issued a warning to residents in the Gaza Strip, urging them not to trust what they described as false promises from the occupation or participate in enemy plans, threatening that doing so could provoke a severe response. In an official statement, the groups claim that the humanitarian and aid distribution centers operated by the U.S. have become death traps where civilians are allegedly lured by hunger and killed in what they refer to as daily massacres. Basically, this is what's happening. If you're there in Gaza, you live there in Gaza as a Palestinian, and you're going to go, I'm going to go get some of the food that the U.S. and Israel have been supplying to us. I'm going to go get some of that food. They look at that as collaboration with the enemy. Therefore, why not take you out? Remember, it was reported, well, you saw the facts on it, when Hamas gunned down all kinds of Palestinians that came to collect their food just a week or so ago. And the UN and out of the UK, BBC even reported, they said Israel gunned them down. They knew darn well Israel didn't gun them down. They knew that the lie would go out there. It would circulate throughout the world, and Greta Thunberg and her friends would pick up on it and continue to circulate all of that news out there with everybody that hates Israel. So the lie was out there. No, it wasn't the IDF that was shooting the people of Gaza. It was Hamas that was shooting the people of Gaza as they were coming to get their food. But it's just unbelievable. But the things that we hear, folks, these are facts that are on the ground. And the rhetoric is just unbelievable as it continues to go against Israel. And then we continue from there. This is out of France. France 24 News says Russia fires record 479 drones at Ukraine overnight. Kiev says that has happened. And then there's this regarding China. Check out both of these stories. China aircraft carrier seen operating deeper into the Pacific. Okay, as we watch things take place, Trump has now been president for, what, about 6 months? 5, 6 months, something like that. As we look at that, and there was this promise and this hope that, listen, there would be peace. What we are watching is a major escalation of the rhetoric of wars and rumors of wars. China, Russia, Ukraine, Russia and Ukraine, that whole thing just seems to be getting bigger and bigger. We're watching what's going on with Iran and their constant threats against Israel, saying we do not respect anything that Trump says. We watch what's going on with Syria. Yemen is still up to their no good stuff. They're evil, and everything is continuing to escalate. Israel still has to deal with the problems within Judea and Samaria as they're going to finish Gaza unless they bow to the world pressure to just stop. But Israel can't stop. But folks, what we're watching is what Jesus said in the last days. What would it be? Kingdom against kingdom, nation against nation, earthquakes in various places. There will be wars and rumors of wars, famines, pestilences, and so forth. We're watching the wars and rumors of wars escalate, get bigger and bigger and bigger when people are crying out for peace and safety. We have not arrived at peace and safety. That day is coming.
طبعا هذه مظاهرة شاركوا فيها آلاف اليوم، آلاف المتظاهرين من جميع أنحاء السويد جو لستوكهولم. طبعا مظاهرة مانيش عارفة 5000 أو 10000، أعتقد 10000 حسب ما.
All heder till det stora antalet poliser som övervakade dagens palestinska demonstration i centrala Stockholm i ordning. Stämningen var inte trevlig, inte den här gången heller. Det pekades finger, skreks, spottades. Vid det här laget har vi vant oss, tyvärr. Det är en del av stadsbilden emellanåt. Om de åstadkommer något så är det, förhoppningsvis, att fjärma ännu fler personer från sin sak så att kvar blir den extrema kärna antidemokrater som idag flyger under falsk flagg. Vem vill associeras med sådant hat? Vem vill förknippas med sådant förkastligt beteende? Vem vill vara en del av denna historielöshet? Leve Palestina växlades med krossa sionismen. Någon hade klätt ut sig till en israelisk soldat, utan minsta tanke på vilka samvetskval som israeliska soldater kan lida av. Sionismen ska krossas utan att någon frågar vad det egentligen innebär. Hur kan det finnas en judisk stat, helt oavsett politik, utan sionism? Palestina ska leva utan att någon frågar varför det inte gör det idag. Trösten finns att detta inte rimmar med det allmänna rättsvetandet. Förhoppningsvis ser fler och fler bakom fasaden och de tomma orden. HT David Stavra-Oke.
That action, General! And not with that flag, most surely not!
Look at the crowd from the Irish side and a small crowd from the pro-mass migration side and, of course, the pro-Islamist side. There were a lot of people, firstly, the latter, the group that support mass migration, multiculturalism and Islamism, these work and operate on an international level. That's what people call them globalists. They're not just globalists because they believe in, for example, a one world government or no borders, no flags. They also operate, they also help each other on an international level. So they do bus people around. Actually, that some people would go to Cork, to Dublin from England and vice versa. People from the Republic, the Sinn Féin supporters and the so-called Palestinian supporters, they also come to London to support the Palestinian protests. It works both ways, and this is the biggest problem that we have, and this is why for the first time over the last couple of years we are finally seeing patriots and nationalists from different countries actually supporting each other, because you're fighting on an international level. The globalists, the liberal globalists, they're supporting each other. And for a long time, nationalists and patriots have been abandoned. They just work in their own country because they thought, well, I have to focus on Ireland, I have to focus on France. Yes, absolutely. But you also have to support each other. You don't have to give up on your own fight. But we are now finally seeing people in Germany, patriots in Germany, support the French patriots. We are finally seeing the Israeli patriots supporting the Iranians, or the English actually supporting the Irish, and vice versa. So all this stuff that's happening on a liberal globalist level actually is uniting patriots and nationalists who back in the day used to be rivals with each other, including, for example, the British and the Irish. Now they're supporting each other. In fact, we've also seen at times unity between the Protestants and the Catholics. It's insane. Because people have realized there's a bigger fight there for the soul of the Western civilization. Let me show you the number.
I know that this development, this growth is part of what some, and I agree with the term, have called stealth jihad, where Islamists come and find a place and start building their infrastructure, their community, their mosque, their what do you call their school, madrasas, in all the different places quietly in the community, and eventually they become a force to be reckoned with. And right now, I think we are just about at a crossroads with radical Islam, and I think if nothing gets done on a government level, they are just going to get emboldened. I was watching a video that came out of Belgium yesterday of a woman who's in politics in Belgium. And Belgium is pretty bad too. I mean, I'm sure you know the area called Molenbeek, which is pretty much little Mecca. And this woman said whenever she walks into a government office for a meeting or something, she looks around and she says, I feel like the minute I walk in, they put a yellow star on my jacket as they look at me, and I don't feel safe anymore. Belgium is really, really also a problem, and she was talking about, and that's the first time that I really heard or at least paid attention to the term, and I want your take on it. She said this is now at the level of state anti-Semitism. What do you think about that term?
I do not doubt that this is 100% correct. I mean, I'm in regular communication with friends in the UK, and they're quite distressed at what you see. If you see somebody on the street praying a Christian prayer, they'll be arrested. Islamists march down the street saying death to Jews, destroy Israel, that type of thing. Or they stop
traffic and they kneel down in the middle of the street and nobody says anything.
It's a major problem. And Olivier, I think we need to be honest that this is everywhere.
It is.
And, you know, in our Bible prophecy community, there's a lot of people say that some of us are inclined to think or consider the fact that this final beast empire and that type of thing could be Islamic in nature. I'm only going to say this because it's a matter of fact. We just saw our president go and make deals with Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and that sort of thing. In Saudi Arabia today, 20% of all steel manufactured in the United States is going to Saudi Arabia right now. And there is a massive demographic shift taking place in the world, and we have a problem. And so, you know, a lot of people think that the Antichrist will come from a revived Roman Empire in Europe. And my point on all of this is, if the Lord doesn't return soon, and it is Europe, it will be Islamic. I mean, we're really at a major tipping point.
In Europe, we are. Yeah,
we're rapidly approaching that here in the United States.
As I'm seeing the way that the events are yes, increasing in intensity and in frequency. Absolutely. It was my good friend John Haller that I first heard say gradually. Then what is it?
Gradually, then suddenly.
Gradually, then suddenly. And you were quoting.
It was a Hemingway novel.
Hemingway.
How did you go bankrupt? Two ways. I went first gradually, then suddenly. And that seems how it is working right now in Bible prophecy.
Yeah.
You know, we talked, we have mutual friends, Tom Hughes and other people, and every day we get together and talk, it's like, I can't keep up with all of this.
No,
it's happening so fast.
Yeah, it is. But this cancellation, I understand, you know, Governor Abbott, I think, even got on the phone and said, you can't do this, it's too dangerous. You know, he's thinking of, you know, the public safety, of course, not just the conference, the people attending, but, you know, the whole area. Because, you know, it's one thing that somebody walks into a museum and kills two people, and that's pretty bad. I'm not saying it's not bad, but somebody could just drop a bomb or dirty bomb, or, I mean, how many sleeper cells do we have in America that we already had from before, but how many more got set up in the during the last administration? We'll never know, but we might find out. And you know what? It only takes one or two to make a real mess.
Well, I've been watching people like Sarah Adams and John Gualdano and others who are expert in this area, and I don't want to be an alarmist, but what they say is the warnings are dire.
I was talking to our friend Tom Hughes today. And I said, Tom, I'm really concerned and not scared, because I'm secure in my position in Messiah and my salvation. I know that I'm going to be in God's presence for all eternity. But I'm still very concerned because a lot of people who don't know Him. And I was talking to Tom. He said, Olivier, right now Christians are being tested. It's easy to say, I love the Jews, I love Israel, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, when things are the way they are. But when it's getting to become what it is right now, Christians are really going to have to make choices when it's very, very dangerous, and it's going to cost them, and it's going to be a big decision to make. Do I support Israel? Do I continue to be vocal about my support for Israel? Or do I do it quietly, or do I stop? And so he feels like we are being, as believers, we are being tested. What do you think?
Yeah, by the way, the Israel Summit, I think, went through this last year in Nashville.
It was in Nashville, and it almost got canceled.
Okay, well, maybe they had attorneys intervened on their behalf then. But I seem to recall that their initial hotel or wherever they were having this said they were going to cancel. The interesting thing about this is I'm looking through the news reports. I only see it on conservative U.S. and Jewish, like JNS, Daily Wire, that type of thing. That's the only place I'm finding, as CBN, that's the only place I'm finding news about this.
Right.
And I'm going to guess you're not going to hear any news about this, but this is exactly what has happened on Ivy League campuses here in the United States. Is they've gone after Jewish students and the constant harassment of them and the physical threats to them. And I'm a free speech guy, okay, but there's something that needs to be done, and this is clearly targeting. And this is sort of, I think this is a watershed moment, because heretofore it's been Jews. Now it's Christians who support Jews.
That's right.
And it's shifting. And so I would advise every church and every conference that does these things, you need to have security, at least, a presence of security and that sort of thing. This is a watershed moment here in the United States.
Yeah, I think you're not going to hear this on the news too much, but this is definitely a turning point.